Improving one property might seem like a small step, but it creates positive changes for the whole community. By empowering just one landowner, we're creating a ripple effect of safety, sustainability, and opportunity that benefits an entire community.
Welcome to the Roots to Resilience podcast, a series highlighting the powerful stories and transformative efforts defining the past, present, and future of African American land ownership. I'm Bethany Wilkinson, your host and executive director of the Sustainable Forestry and African American Land Retention Network. At the SFLR Network, we are committed to empowering African American landowners through education, advocacy, and sustainable forestry practices that protect generational land, foster economic resilience, and honor the rich cultural heritage tied to the land. This series will take you on a journey through 8 sites across our network, uncovering the stories, challenges, and triumphs that define our mission. Today, I'm joined by Deron Lacey, the Executive Director of Limited Resource Landowner Education and Assistance Network, also known as LRLEAN. I am also joined by Ms. Sheila Lewis-Collins, a dedicated farmer with a deep-rooted connection to the land, and Donnie Turner, a safety expert turned aspiring farmer with a vision for community empowerment. Together, Sheila and Donnie are collaborating with LRLEAN to revitalize a parcel of land in Jefferson County, Alabama. Let's get started as they share their journey, lessons learned, and hopes for the future. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. To kick us off, how about everyone introduce yourselves?
Well, my name is Deron Lacey, and I am the executive director of LRLEAN here in the state of Alabama. LRLEAN's mission is essentially just to help landowners retain their property. And we are basically a community-based organization that was started in 2008. At that time, the NRCS was actively looking to recruit more African-American landowners. And, just one thing led to the next. They created a nonprofit to be able to assist more people. We were incorporated as a nonprofit back in 2008. We started working with the SFLR network, one of the 3 pilot sites of the SFLR network back in 2013. And we're still working today.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing the incredible work you're doing at the SFLR network site in Alabama. I can't wait to dive into that. But before we do, and before Donnie and Sheila introduce themselves, I want to share with our listeners that the NRCS, or Natural Resources Conservation Service, is a USDA agency providing technical and financial support to farmers and landowners to conserve and enhance natural resources. As a key partner in the SFLR network, the NRCS will come up throughout our conversation, so I wanted to provide that context. Now, Ms. Sheila and Mr. Donnie, let's hear from you. Please introduce yourselves.
My name is Sheila Lewis-Collins, and I've been in Alabama since 2020. I come from a family of farmers in Kentucky. My son has a farm. He grows a lot of crops and everything, and that farm has been in the neighborhood for years. So it's in our blood.
I'm Donnie Turner. I'm here at my residence right by the property that we've acquired here. I grew up here. We moved here in 1966. I grew up here with this property in our backyard. I used to run and play, pretend hunt with my dog all through it. Left Birmingham for college in 76 and been away for quite a while and just returned back. So during that time, I had a lot of contact with farmers. I was a bus driver. I transported them to the conferences and just been around farmers. That's where I met Miss Sheila. and got some education about farming and became interested. And then we acquired the property back here with thoughts of maybe doing something for the neighborhood, community garden, perhaps. Not set on it yet, but those were my thoughts.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story and your plans for the land. Before we get there, I'd love to hear from you, Deron. Can you say more about how does LRLEAN work in partnership with organizations like SFLR to support landowners?
Well, LRLEAN partnerships are at the heart of everything that we do. Our work with the SFLR network has made a huge difference in helping us reach and support more landowners. Through this partnership, we connect landowners, especially those who've been historically underserved, with the resources, technical help, and financial support that they need. So together, we ensure landowners get the education and tools to manage their forests in sustainable ways. This can include creating management plans or understanding federal programs like EQIP and CSP. The SFLR network gives us a strong platform for sharing resources and advocating for landowners on a regional scale. And while LRLEAN's ties to Alabama communities ensure those resources reach the people who need them. By working together, we're helping landowners unlock the full potential of their land, preserve their family legacies, and improve the economic and environmental health of their communities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deron. And can you share about how the partnership between LRLEAN and Miss Sheila came to life?
Actually, I just received a call. One of my associates over at the NRCS office contacted me and asked us if we could help her. We talked on the phone and scheduled an in-person visit. Me and a staff member, Mr. Smith. We drove up to Birmingham and, spent a while with them walking around the place and looking at it and seeing kind of, what they had there, and to see if we could maybe, help them move their project forward.
Let's delve deeper into the project. If I understand correctly, this is a clearing project aimed at addressing the fire hazard the land currently poses to the community. Can you describe the land and its condition?
It's in rural Jefferson County. I say moderately forested area, about 6 acres, about 7 acres. And within that little forested area, it's just grown up without really having any plan or direction to it. It's kind of gotten overgrown, and it's a fire hazard, for the people who live around that community. I'm not sure exactly how many houses there are that live around there. There's a apartment complex, I think, in the vicinity, and there's some other environmental concerns in the area that make it a good project to clear up.
Sheila, Donnie, is there anything you want to add as the ones who live in the community?
You have apartments there. You also have houses on one side where we live at. Then on the back side, you have trucking plus housing in that area. And then as far as the safety and the fire part of it, there's a big fueling station where big trucks came in. And there's a lot of tanks that, store a lot of fuel in them. At one time or another, if lightning ever hit anything, the whole community will be wiped out because of the tank situation in there. That was a very concern to us because of the forestry area. Like Mr. Deron said, the forestry area around here is a fire hazard in a way. So to limit some of that down, it's best to clear it out. And we looked up on it. It has water source. It has a sewer source. It also has electric, where it was supposed to have been developed into a subdivision area. So we got the blessing, that part of it. So we can tap into that water source and have irrigation on that property. And then below the property, there is a creek that, we can turn into a detention pond or retention pond and still be able to irrigate our sources and community gardens and everything like that.
Yeah. When you were first introduced to Miss Sheila, what stood out to you about her situation and her property?
That she needed help. That she, LRLEAN was created with just a thought in mind that accessing and navigating the landscape of a lot of these agencies is difficult, especially if you haven't, done it historically. A lot of people, especially landowners, smaller acreage landowners, this is something they'll do once in their lifetime, right? When they go to sell trees or if they go to thin trees. So, it's not something that people are really familiar with. And that's something that we can help them with, is like to navigate all the different alphabet letter agencies that really they pay taxes to support. One of the things that we have tried to provide was access to a network of vendors. Their work will require having somebody actually that will do the work. Part of the issue that they had, initially was that the vendor that they procured to get the work done was overwhelmed with the project, and the funding wasn't there, so they had difficulties there. So part of, the basis of the relationship was really trying to secure vendor, trying to secure the equipment to make sure that we could actually get the work done and not just talk about it.
Deron, can you speak to how improving a single property can contribute to broader community safety and sustainability?
Improving one property might seem like a small step, but it creates positive changes for the whole community. For example, when a landowner uses sustainable forestry practices like prescribed burning or thinning trees properly or controlling erosion, it doesn't just make their land healthier and more productive. It also reduces the risk of wildfire. It improves water quality, creates habitat for wildlife. These benefits go far beyond just their property line. Healthy forests naturally clean the air. They provide habitat for wildlife and provide cleaner water for everybody, right? Economically, a well-managed property creates jobs for forestry professionals, contractors, and vendors, while adding value to the local timber market. By empowering just one landowner, we're creating a ripple effect of safety, sustainability, and opportunity that benefits an entire community.
Absolutely. What's so exciting to me about this process you're describing is that it combines community safety, community food production, forestry, and land stewardship. There's so many good and beautiful things that are unfolding in this one project. It's really remarkable. I want to turn now to ask Sheila and Donnie, how did you acquire this land?
The funniest thing about how we really acquired this property was I was at work. A storm actually came through and lightning struck a tree. And the tree fell on a, a vehicle of Donnie's in the yard here. And so we did a search for the property owner. So I'm looking and doing my research and everything as far as who owns the property to tell them, hey, a tree fell on some property here and, to try to get some help to clear the tree up. During the research, the property ended up being in tax sales with the state for years. Years. We're looking at 20 years. So we put in a bid through the state and acquired the property in 2021. And that's how we got it. I said, okay, we could do some farming here.
Once you acquired the land and decided to pursue farming, what were your next steps?
We end up reaching out to the forestry department plus NRCS. And we got in touch with the forestry department. But on the hard part of it was trying to get people to come in and clear the property for us. The bids were enormous. We were looking at 20,000. We were looking at some was $25,000 just to clear, and everything. So Donnie came across this other guy, contractor, who was willing to clear the property for what NRCS had give us. Maybe we had to pay a little difference. Well, we ran into another stopping point because they bailed out when they seen how enormous the job was. The director of NRCS turned me on to Mr. Deron Lacey and his group, and that they help Black farmers because it is a struggle for small farmers who have not 20 plus acres or 30 acres. We only got 7 acres, and it seemed like we were getting attacked, even more small Black farmers who even have an acre or two, costing more to clear their property than someone that has 20 plus 30 acres or whatever, because the more of that funding was coming to them, where we were catching the low end and still had to produce out the money and the finances of what a big farmer would have had to do. So I am so thankful that NRCS told me that they partner with these people, Mr. Deron Lacey, Mr. Hodges, and now you. So those things, I'm networking, as they say, finding out more people who have an interest in the heart of an interest in farming and trying to keep that part of history alive instead of going into manufacturing and artificialing and everything else. We're still trying to keep the real nature of what farming is and what growing vegetables and growing our own, getting in connection with the earth again. And that's the thing. You're bringing your roots, as you say, back to the land, because the land is a producer and a provider as well.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there were quite a few challenges, at least on the financial front, and managing the property on your own before
Yes.
connecting with LRLEAN. Were there any other challenges that you ran into in addition to just the financial challenges and finding contractors? Were there other difficulties in that process?
We had to acquire with the prior contractor, we asked them to get permits, because being that this property, we didn't want someone to be calling down to the city of Birmingham on us and say, hey, they doing certain things back here. What's going on? And then having an inspector to come out and there we are with a fine or something. So that part of it was a challenge. And the city of Birmingham was looking at the property like we were getting ready to develop it for subdivisions and all that. All we was trying to do was maintain the property, get it to where we know what we're seeing, what we can do from that point. But they wanted us to do all kinds of site planning and everything. I mean, soil analysis, drainage analysis. I said, wait a minute, we're not doing all this. So recently, about 2 weeks ago, I had to negotiate. Now we have the permit for property maintenance and landscaping, because we're not moving the ground. We're just trying to clear the underbrush, the thick brush out, so we can see and start doing what we needed to do from that point. But it worked out, so we got that permit. But that was the other challenging. And now the weather,
Oh,
trying to get it cleared.
yes. Isn't that so funny how that happens? You finally get the dollars lined up, you get the permits, and then the rain won't stop.
Yes.
But hopefully you'll
Yes.
be able to move forward soon. That's wonderful. And it sounds like what I'm hearing in your stories is just the significance of being your own advocate and advocating for your own land and advocating for your own community and staying the course even when you meet resistance. And it's just really inspiring. So can you describe, either Sheila or Donnie, what is the plan moving forward? You're clearing the land. Can you tell us more about what's actually going to happen on the ground?
Once we get it clear and see what we have, and hopefully that the soil is good and that it's not contaminated or anything like that, we are keeping trees, a lot of the trees, the bigger ones, because some of the trees are real tall pines and some that are actually have fruit trees bearing, which is nuts and acorns and stuff. And hopefully we can keep those and try to harvest that stuff. And then if the pines are good to go, my understanding they use the needle pines, has landscaping barriers for gardens, also for housing landscape. You can actually do those things as well with that. And there, as far as like the small lumber mills and stuff, they're pretty much distinct due to when COVID hit. I think it really took out a whole lot of them out. But if someone wants to come in and take out a couple trees for wood or to use for, planks and stuff, we allow that to happen, because we also looked into that as well, as far as some of the clearing and everything. Vegetables and the way the economy is going right now, I think everybody's going to start turning back to farming because of the high prices of big energy industries and everything. And they're knocking out the little mans, which is the Black farmers. And Mr. Deron and them are helping us on that. It's going to be a great access to this community.
Donnie, is there anything you want to add about how you envision the future of this land?
My background is safety security, and I was employed by Kentucky State University, worked there in the police department. So a lot of relationships with the people I ended up driving on the bus after my career ended, I worked with them in the agriculture area. So we already knew each other. But during these bus trips, I learned all about the other Kentucky farmers, which Kentucky State was aiding and assisting with their projects. Now I have this property here, and what are the possibilities of me going forward with some of those things that I've heard? So I want to see what I can do as a farmer and help others as well. I would love to partner with some type of business where the community could come and buy, maybe even sell to some grocery stores. I dream of that. I would love to see it, just to be able to be in a position to help others, someone who may have some aspirations to do some farming, to grow their own fruits and vegetables. I would love to be able to be a part of that, to help them if that's their goals.
Deron, can you share what partnerships or relationships have been critical to making this project a success, making it come to life?
The partnership between the SFLR network, I've been really, really helpful. The U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities has been really, really helpful. Natural Resource Conservation Service has been helpful. Partnerships are at the core of our work. We function through the assistance of other nonprofits and organizations in the space. So we're always looking for partnerships, and that helps us to help other landowners.
Absolutely. For every partner to be able to do what they uniquely do helps make it happen. So you have Sheila and Donnie who are managing the land. They have your expertise at LRLEAN. They have funds and resources from the endowment and the network. It really is a beautiful combination of support. How does LRLEAN ensure that projects like this have long-term sustainability beyond the initial funding work?
I guess you can say the main thing that we do in the space is we educate. And what we do is make sure that our landowners have access to the latest information on how they can continue to sustain their property. This is a long-term relationship. We won't just help them and then just leave them. We stay there as you can see. She's a valuable asset to other landowners that are also navigating the same kinds of work. So really, it's just continuing, just continuing with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, Deron, what does this project reveal about the intersections of land management, environmental sustainability, and community well-being?
In my opinion, it shows just how connected the land, people, and the environment really are. Sustainable forestry is not just about growing trees. It's about protecting natural resources, caring for the environment, but most importantly, improving the lives of future generations. When land is managed well, it can become a source of financial security and better community health. For example, a well-managed forest can provide steady income for families while improving carbon storage, reducing stormwater runoff, preventing soil erosion. These tie into directly, protecting the environment. At the same time, when landowners see the success of their work and they share what they've learned with their neighbors, it builds a, sense of stewardship and encourages collaboration within the community. So it's ultimately about leaving the land and the community better for those that'll come after us.
2 days ago, I got a call from a young man in Atlanta, Georgia. He's looking to purchase land here in Alabama and move his whole outfit to Alabama, but he's going to take his time careful, and he wants to obtain some land in Alabama if it is available for him, and to lease or to purchase and move his family here to start growing also here in Alabama. So people are calling me and saying, how did you do this? How did you get this land? How did you acquiring, so farming is becoming a big thing now, even in the younger group of people.
And then for Miss Sheila and Mr. Donnie, how has this project deepened your connection to your land? And maybe this is really mostly for Mr. Donnie in this case. How has it deepened your connection to your land or changed how you see it?
Where it presents a sense of ownership, a stewardship, to maintain it, to secure it, and be a part of something that could be so big and provide great use for this community.
Wonderful. Before we go, is there anything you want to leave us with?
I appreciate everything that y'all are doing. Y'all are helping us as far as to get to our dreams, to develop this land to what we would like, our vision, and also the vision even for a possibility for the community. And I really greatly appreciate all y'all efforts, the motivation, taking the initiative to recognize us, and just going forward with us to make this happen. I really greatly appreciate it.
Beautiful.
I also would like to thank Mr. Lacey. The gentleman came here and walked this property with us. He has so much inspiration. He was so inspired by what we were trying to do. And just to really appreciate him showing his interest, getting out here in his boots and fatigues and walking and just giving the assistance and inspiration even to me. I'm law enforcement. I'm learning to be a farmer. Thank you.
I don't think you're going to have any choice in being a farmer, Donnie.
Yes, sir. You're right about that.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Roots to Resilience. Deron, Sheila, and Donnie have shown us what's possible when passion, partnership, and perseverance come together to transform challenges into community impact. From clearing overgrown land to envisioning a future of sustainable farming and community growth, their work exemplifies the power of stewardship and collaboration. Remember, every step towards sustainability can create ripples that benefit entire communities. If you've been inspired by today's conversation, share this episode with someone who might be navigating similar challenges or dreaming of a better future for their land and community. Until next time, take care and keep cultivating connection and possibility. Roots to Resilience is a sustainable forestry and African American land retention network podcast. Our senior producer is Ivana Tucker. Our engineers are Asia Simpson and Jacob Winnick. Our executive producers are Melise Toussaint and Eliza Smith. This podcast was produced in collaboration with Cascade Advisory and Cosmic Standard. For more information about our work at SFLR Network, check us out at sflrnetwork.org and be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. Special thanks to our network sites and to the American Forest Foundation for supporting the podcast. This material is also based upon work supported by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this publication are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. Department of Agriculture or of our other sponsors. In addition, any reference to specific brands or types of products or services does not constitute or imply an endorsement for those products or services. I'm your host, Bethany Wilkinson, signing out.